Boondocks was an American adult animated sitcom about the black culture, which mostly focused on a black American family known as the Freemans. This show perfectly blended the culture's lifestyles, social classes, stereotypes, and race for much of the series. It was one of the nastiest shows from the United States, and it had 4 original seasons with approximately 55 episodes in total. Today, I want us to look at all the African American folks, the white people and the black people who identified as white. Then we shall look at all the amazing fellas behind the voices, and we shall discuss briefly who they are and their age in 2025. First in the list is Huey Freeman, who was one of the 2 protagonists in the series alongside Riley. He was the one who mostly narrated the happenings in the show, and was a young African-American boy who was a self-described revolutionist, and was always seen reflecting the current events that took place mostly within the black folk community. I don't necessarily know about his parents, but I know that he lived with his brother and grandfather in the white Baltimore suburb of Woodcrest. He was a highly intelligent boy who rarely smiled or laughed, and was known to have an amazing fighting style which he could use on his brother or anyone else that disturbed his peace, and he was actually the greatest hand-to-hand combatant in the entire series. Riley, on the other hand, was Huey's younger brother, and was an 8-year-old who wanted to live that gangster lifestyle. He had the streets name like Riley Escobar, Young Reezy, and other hip-hop names that matched his style. Unlike his brother who had a giant afro, Riley had long cornrows braided towards the back, and was a boy who was known to do anything in the name of gangster. He once even helped in capturing Oprah Winfrey and would help other gangs in their day-to-day doings. His lifestyle made him more of a misogynist, and would even call women the H-word if you catch my drift. He was truly a troublesome kid, and both of these kids were voiced by the great Regina King, who is an American actress and producer, and in 2019, she was among the 100 most influential people around the world according to Time magazine, and she has now won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe Awards, and an Academy Award. Thomas Lancaster Dubois, popularly remembered as Tom Dubois, was a mild-mannered black lawyer who was married to a white wife and was blessed with a biracial daughter. He was initially an assistant district attorney before becoming a defense attorney, and was a good friend to the Freeman family. He was also a loving family man who had the gift of singing and playing the piano, and was a proud Democrat. He was a man who followed everything by the law, and was non-confrontational and skittish by nature. A good man voiced by Cedric Yarbrough, an American actor and comedian who featured on the ABC sitcom show known as Speechless and Reno. Now, Uncle Ruckus was a black man who did not like associating himself with his own people, and he always believed that he was a white man trapped in a black body. He would rather work free of charge for the white folks than get paid to work for his people. He always held extremely racist views towards all black people and everyone who was not white. He hated the black folks more than the white people hated the black folks. And even at times during his sermons, he always said that the only path to forgiveness for being black is by rebuking your own race. He even praised Michael Jackson for escaping the black community by bleaching himself. A funny man voiced by Gary Anthony Williams, who is an American comedian and a filmmaker. He is also recognized for voicing General Horace Warfield in StarCraft Wings of Liberty. Robert Jebediah Freeman was Huey's and Riley's granddad, and was their legal guardian after an unknown fate happened to the kids' parents. He lived in Woodcrest where he owned a house, and was among the active participants in the United States Civil Rights Movement. He was an old man who was not so wise, and would never accept responsibility for his actions nor learn any lessons. His main weapon was his belt, which he always used when disciplining the boys. Mr. Robert was also a very good liar, and was also seen dating women who were 2 times younger than his age. He was again very incompetent with money and finances, and we learnt that he was in a bank debt of $2 million. He was voiced by John Witherspoon, who was an American actor and comedian, and we also remember him for playing Willie Jones in the Friday series. This legend passed away on 29th of October, 2019 at the age of 77 years from a heart attack. Jasmine Dubois was Tom's daughter, and was known to be a very sweet and naive little girl. She was a good friend of Huey, and was an emotional girl who was seen to be childish most of the time. And unlike Robert, Jasmine was a terrible liar who did not have it in her to lie. A sincere girl voiced by Gabby Soleil, a young actress from California who also acted in Cold Case of 2003. Now to Jasmine's mother and Tom's wife, known as Sarah Dubois. She was a hyper-woman who was more sexually active than her husband, and this made the relationship a little rocky. And even though she was mostly seen to have no respect for her husband, she loved him and always supported him. She was the dominant force in the family and was the reigning authority in the household. Just like Tom, she was liberal and so political, and was always seen focusing her efforts on political action against the conservative parties. And since her husband was weak and shy, she always fantasized about strong and successful black men like Usher and Michael Jackson. She was voiced by Jill Talley, who is Tom Kenny's wife, and is an American actress and comedian. You would probably recognize her voice in SpongeBob, where she voiced Karen Plankton. Ed Wuncler III was a drunken ex-soldier who was freshly discharged from active duty in Iraq. He was a white man who loved the African-American culture, mostly the violent and the negative stereotypes. He was from a rich and well-privileged background, and was seen to always refer to himself as the N-word. The best way to describe him was psychotic and violent, and he was seen to be mostly in trouble with the law with other minor crooks. It was the late Charlie Murphy who voiced him, and was an American stand-up comedian and an actor, and he was also the co-star in the sitcom show called Black Jesus. He was the brother of Eddie Murphy, and he sadly passed away on April 12, 2017 at the age of 57, and his cause of demise was from leukemia. Martin Luther King, according to the show, was an American Baptist minister and a prominent leader of the civil rights movement. Unlike the real Martin Luther, he survived being shot and instead fell into a deep coma, then he awoke after 32 years in 2000. Voiced by the great Kevin Michael Richardson, who is a deep voice actor and is known for his Cartoon Network era in the early 2000s. Cindy McPhearson was a South Central ghetto girl who was extremely talented in basketball. And even though she was a little girl, she always spoke like a teenager and was portrayed to be tough. She was Jasmine's best friend and always thought that she was a good friend with Huey, even though Huey found her to be really annoying. The iconic voice of Tara Strong was used to voice her. She is a talented voice actress who is actually the greatest voice actress of all time. Grant was Thugnificent's weed dealer and was also the plug of Robert. He had his weed operation whereby he made and sold edibles like cookies and cakes. He was later busted by the cops and given 6 months probation, after which he gave up his weed business. He was voiced by Mark Hamill, who is an American actor and voice actor that is popularly known for his role as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars and even for mostly voicing Joker in some DC animated movies. And finally, Rummy, a former United States Army infantryman and Ed Wuncler's best friend. After his service in Iraq, he became jobless and in turn started working as a hired gun and also as a bank robber. And just like Ed Wuncler, he was a psychotic and a dangerous man to the society.